Hello, everybody. This is Angel Arts, and welcome to session number 5 of Pokemon Spectrum, our Pokemon Tabletop campaign. I think we have everybody online normally. Hopefully, we won't have any major snafus. We'll see. We'll see how things go with that. So let's get right into it, everybody. I don't want to waste any time. So if you've ever seen any of my previous campaigns, you've seen me ask this question before, but I think it's one of the more interesting questions to ask, and I think that it's a great way to further define your character, perhaps in ways that you've never thought about. And it's a simple question. What is your character, as in your trainer? What is your trainer character's biggest fear? If you want me to stall, you can ask me. I can have you guys collectively choose an NPC, and you can ask me what that NPC's biggest fear is, and I can stall with that.
That would be cool.
Yes.
Jet Black.
You want to know Jet Black's biggest fear?
Look, dude, where's the unmute button? Is everyone cool with that?
That's actually what I had in mind too, so yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if I have to try to be vague, I want Hark to try to be vague.
Without giving too much away, definitely if you were to ask Jet Black what his biggest fear is, his answer is going to be his past is his biggest fear.
I think for Molly, especially at this stage in her life, she's pretty afraid of attachment. But I think a bigger fear for her would be for her to get attached to somebody and then lose them.
Okay.
And it actually took her, like since we talked about the Rays a couple sessions ago, like, or at least her foster father Dylan Ray, he gave a big story about how Molly was lost to them, and it actually took Molly quite a long time to start to become attached to them when she was with them as their foster child. But then something happened and Molly panicked and ran away from them and basically shut herself off again from them. So I think at this, definitely at this point in her life, she's more cautious about becoming attached to anyone. So, and also losing them once she becomes attached. I think that's the biggest thing.
Follow-up question. So yes. You learned, because you and I didn't talk about this ahead of time. This is sort of like something that I kind of sort of came up on the fly. But you learned that the Rays did have a child before Molly. Mm-hmm. They had a son. And I'm sure Molly knows that. I don't think that's something they would hide. I'm sure they've had pictures around the house. Yeah. So you know that they did. Do you think that Molly ever felt like maybe part of the reason why she wasn't getting so attached to them as quickly is because you felt that you were just a replacement for their son?
I think Molly would have felt that way at the beginning, especially, but I think more of that is also like some of the other foster parents that she had. They always seemed to want to take her in for their own selfish reasons. Like, for example, right before she went to the orphanage, there were the foster parents that only wanted her for the money. And I imagine that there were other foster parents that wanted to parade around what good people they are to take in such a poor little broken child like this, which does happen, unfortunately, in the foster system. So I think having seen several sets of foster parents being that selfish, I'm sure she probably assumed at the beginning that the Rays were the same way. But then something happened and she actually started to change her mind about them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting to think about. Are the Rays being selfish by wanting to have another kid since they lost their last kid? Is that a selfish thing for them to do? I don't know the answer to that right away, honestly.
It's a good question. At the At the moment, I don't think Molly thinks so.
Okay.
For Tiffany, it's being alone or being abandoned.
Has she, and I guess, I don't know if this is going to reveal anything, has she felt that? Has she had an experience with that, a bad experience with that before, and that's why she fears it?
Yeah.
She has. Okay.
I think for Chase, it would be living a lie. And I think part of that is I think he gets confused when he starts not trusting himself. And him seeking truth, I think he externalizes what he's actually trying to figure out about himself.
Riz and Petra do make a very good point. He's afraid of living a lie, and yet he seems so good at it. He seems really good at it, and probably almost does it by habit. Yet he fears it, so that's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's that's what confuses him. I think that's the catalyst of his confusion.
Sounds a little masochistic, actually.
One of them is losing her loved ones. She's terrified of that. Yeah, she's lost loved ones before. And her other biggest fear is Dr. Perrault.
So kind of in the same way where it's a little bit twofold. I would say Cassie's biggest right now are fear of failure and disappointing others. You know, like not meeting expectations and things like that. And like one of the biggest cases we actually have seen like the whole disappointment thing come into play is with her mom. And like, you know, the whole reason she ended up leaving home in the first place, because that hit her really hard. So, yeah.
Yeah. We last found out, when we last left off, Fern just discovered a lot of stuff. And she currently is on their way to the hospital with Jet Black / Lieutenant Jenny and Nevi Kearney. And yes, Nevi Kearney is they're on their way there. And then everybody else is physically unconscious. The other Pokemon have gathered, and we're going to get to them in a moment. I do want to dive back into the dream world with the subconsciousness of the five of you first.
Now that we have Chase back.
Because what happens there is going to dictate what happens next.
Molly's gonna approach Chase, and she's gonna sit down on the edge of the sandbox, and she's gonna look down at the swirls in the sand, and then she's gonna glance over at him and say, "So, do you remember what we drew in the sand together?"
And Chase looks up, and he says, "You know, I really want to, but I don't."
Molly will kind of reach down and she'll draw like just a stick figure in the sand. And she'll say, "I remember something about a man." And then she draws wings on the man. It's like, I don't know, it was a man who flew around or something. I can't remember the details, but I remember it was the first real fun I'd had in a long time.
You know, I remember this sandbox. And as he watches the sand go between his hands, you know, time is a funny thing. All these grains of sand, they all make up one thing. If every grain was a memory, I feel like when I look at the sand, it's kind of like my mind, because I don't see the grains of sand anymore. I just see this sandbox. And I don't know if I'm making sense. There's not much I remember. If I were to ask you, Molly, how many names do you remember?
I didn't remember yours for the longest time. I don't know, when I realized who you were, it just came back to me. I don't remember many names from the time before we met. I don't remember the name of anyone else at the orphanage, really.
And I feel like the names are all I remember.
You don't remember anything else about the people?
I remember small details about the people. I remember one kid, he'd instigate a lot of conflict, and then after the conflict was over, he'd always pretend to act like a mediator. Like he'd go around and ask people if they were all right. He'd try to be a good person, but he'd always instigate things. I don't know, his name was... I'm afraid to say it here, Molly. His name was Warren Meadows. And that's just one of them.
I can't say I remember anything about him. I remember the kid with the black hair. But I don't remember his name at all.
I definitely came to remember his name. I remembered more of him as the insecure kid who got power by surrounding himself with the right people. And that's what scares me, because he's out there and I don't feel like I remember him. I don't feel like I know him the way I remember him. Or at least the way I remember his name.
Maybe you should have been a psychologist.
I don't think this head could help anybody.
Has it really been 14 years, Ian?
14 years. And I would like to know what happened to those years.
There wasn't a lot of good that happened after I left the orphanage. It seemed like I had just arrived at the orphanage, and then next thing I know, I was being shipped off somewhere else where I had no idea where I was going or what the people would do to me or how they would react to me. And it actually went on that way for a while.
The feeling of not belonging.
Not necessarily the feeling of not belonging. It was more the constant reminders that you don't belong. You know what I mean?
Or that you shouldn't belong. I think that's how I feel. I don't feel like I should belong here.
I guess I got lucky in the end. I mean, my last foster parents were really something else, you know? They were different. But she kind of rubs her head. She rubs her head and she says, "But that's all in the past, you know? Like, what's that saying again? The present is a gift, the future is something else, and the past is the past, right?" I mean, I don't see how that's going to help us out of here and how it's going to help us, I don't know, find out whoever was responsible for stealing the Arceus plate. Figuring out what's going on here.
I'm wondering if it's all connected. Yeah, like you mentioned the past, and for me, I feel like either something's chasing me from the past, or the past is chasing me, and I'm running from it. But I feel like the only way for me to get into the future is I have to get through the lies that I feel like make up those 14 years. And maybe it's all my fault. Maybe I just didn't surround myself with enough people or open myself up.
Well, growing up under our circumstances, I mean, I can't speak for your whole story, but I know that under my circumstances, it's understandable why someone wouldn't open up. I mean, I don't think anyone who heard your whole story would blame you for anything.
We'll see.
Molly looks back down at the drawing of this. Oh, sorry.
At this point, he's taken off his sweatshirt.
Okay. Yeah, Molly's gonna look down at the stick figure of the man, and she draws a little sword in his hand. And she says, "There was a sword in the story too, wasn't there?"
Did the sword turn into flame?
I think it did, and she doodles some little flames around the sword.
Molly, while you're drawing the sword in this flame, you start to remember a few more details from your past that maybe you hid away at times, and you remember that Ian made a promise to you that he did not keep, and you waited for him for a very long time, and he didn't show up. This is your first time seeing him again since he broke that promise. I can give you the details of that promise, but you have to dig a little bit deeper. Go ahead.
Alright, so out of character, like, obviously I don't know what this promise was, but would Molly remember exactly what the promise is? Like,
Yes.
She
would.
does right now. Okay.
She does.
And out of character, would Chase remember what this promise is?
You'll find out. Keep the conversation going. I'm going to help you guys out. I know that this is a little bit tricky, but I'm trying to time this properly.
So, Molly will keep drawing, and she'll say, "You know, Ian, that promise you made."
Ian starts drawing a dragon beside the man with the flaming sword.
Molly mentions that promise you made. You have no idea what she's talking about.
He doesn't acknowledge her question.
Okay.
He just keeps drawing the dragon.
Molly starts drawing a Sylveon, like on standing next to the man. And she glances over again and she says, I waited, you know?
I made a promise to remember 12 names. I made that promise to myself. And I didn't think anyone survived. That's why I didn't come.
What Chase just said doesn't make sense from what you remember. That doesn't make really much sense.
So Molly will glance over at him. She's still drawing the Sylveon. She's drawing the ribbons around the Sylveon now. She glances over at him and she says, 12 names. Huh. Are we remembering the same promise?
And he picks up a handful of sand. He basically destroys the drawing. I just see the sand. I don't see the grains. I don't know. And he drops the sand.
Let me give you more context, Molly, just to help you out, Roma.
All right.
So
All right.
here's the thing. Because I was waiting to see if either of you would say something that would trigger a contradiction, but you haven't yet. So I'm just going to tell you. First of all, from what you remember, Chase was already at the orphanage when you arrived. You weren't. So if you remember from the session 1, Chase remembers arriving at the orphanage and you were already there. What you remember is Ian was already there. And it was your first day at the sandbox, and you went and started, doodling on the sandbox, like, to yourself. Ian did not approach you until after Jet Black and his group approached you first and started messing with you. Shortly after that, then Ian comes over and starts defending you. You don't fully remember the conversation back and forth, but that's one little detail that you remember that doesn't quite coincide with what Chase is remembering. Not that your characters know that yet.
Okay.
You end up going through your friendship. As you said, you probably were the only ones who ended up talking to each other for those 3 weeks. One night, Ian comes to your room, and he has a very serious look on his face. And he says, Molly, we need to get out of here, is basically what he says. We need to go. And you guys try to figure out, how you're going to escape. Somehow you figure out a way to leave the orphanage. And basically Ian tells you, you go out first. There's something I gotta take care of. You try to ask him details, and he's like, I can't explain. There's no time. Like, I just need to go. Just leave the orphanage. He says, I found out that there is, we need a place to meet. Maybe you were like, what if let's meet someplace, and because you were out in the streets yourself for a while, you remember that there's another playground, like a public park, with a sandbox, and you're like, meet me at the sandbox, like the next morning at sunrise. Meet me at the sandbox at sunrise. And Ian was like, okay, yeah, fine. I'll meet you at the sandbox at sunrise. So you leave the orphanage, and you make your way over to the sandbox, and you waited till sunrise, and Ian never shows up. You wait the next day, and the next day. You're just sitting at that sandbox for 2 whole days. Ian never shows up. Finally, in the middle of the 3rd day, one of the Jennies find you, and you're like dehydrated, you're starving. You were trying to find like maybe food from the trash cans or whatever to survive. And that's when the Jennies take you to another like foster system, like another foster agency, where you eventually will at some point end up with a raise eventually. But you never saw Ian or knew what happened to him since then. Sorry, go ahead.
So, yeah, Molly will just look at the destroyed drawings, and she'll just shake her head, and she'll say, we had some good times during those 3 weeks, I think, but I was surprised it ended the way it did, though. And seeing you here after all these years, you're alive. I didn't know what had happened to you. I thought I mean, I waited for you for 2 days. What? And you can't remember what happened?
No. I just remember that this place is not a good place. I tried to help. I'm still trying to help. And he'll actually lift his shirt, and you can't see what it says because it's all getting jarbled and stuff, but there are 12 lines written across his chest.
So Molly will kind of flinch, and she'll look at him and she'll say, "What is all that?"
The last memories I have.
Molly's just not sure what to make of it.
I'm afraid that when I leave here, I'm not gonna be able to even get this far again. I think I'm just gonna get confused when I'm out there. I know you guys make jokes about the names, but those names are meaningful to me. They're my identity right now because I don't feel like I have one.
I can respect that.
I mean, in
So-
here, my name is Iam. My name is Iam Imfe. That's my name. And I hope that corrects any memories you have of me abandoning you.
Ian Minfei. As far as I know, War and Peace, lukewarm, cookies and cream. In my mind, you're still just Ian. Would you mind if I still called you that?
Maybe out there, it'd be best to call me Chase. Just
Chase.
to remind me of what I'm living for.
All right then. You like to chase after the truth, huh?
I do.
It makes two of us. All right, Chase.
Thanks,
Molly
Molly.
will start to draw again.
Hey.
Hi. Thanks. So, Cassandra,
Cassie, please.
okay. We need to talk about Team Rocket because you probably have your reasons and stuff, but I just...
Okay, to
Why
be fair,
did you join them?
I think that we all need to talk about some things. So maybe we could wait until we have everyone gathered together.
Yeah, I think
Or
the
do you
other
really
two
wanna-
are... Oh, Sandbox.
Yeah, I don't know if we should interrupt them or not, to be perfectly honest.
True.
So after glancing again, she'll stifle a bit of a sigh and look back to, Tiffany and Noir and say, well, if you two want to start a little early, I guess I'm not entirely opposed to that.
Catch them up when they get back, but I really need to know why you're in Team Rocket in the first place and why did you leave?
All right.
You're staying in my home, so...
Well, to be fair, we've both lied about a lot of things. So just for now, while I'm still not entirely sure if you tried to blow me up or not, let's just put everything behind us and approach this without judgment, okay? Can we try to do that?
I'm open to see what reasons you have.
Fair enough. All right, well.
For
so she'll
all I know,
glance at-
maybe Team Rocket's the one who blew up the place.
Yeah, for all I know, same. But yeah, she'll glance at Tiffany and, And then Noir going to give a little gesture of her head and just walk a little bit away from the sandbox door. So if they come out, they're not immediately like, hey, conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know. So she'll walk away. I assume you two
We're
will
going to follow.
Mhm.
All right. So she'll turn around and, fold her arms over her chest and say, all right, well, to start off, I promise it wasn't out of any sort of malicious intent, if that helps at all.
Does Lil?
Okay, go on.
If I don't have to go into too much detail, basically, family was hurting a bit for funds, and I couldn't think of any faster way to get the money that we needed.
Very understandable.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you leave? Did you leave Team Rocket? Because you said you did, but I'm not.
I did. I swear I did. It was, like I said, I never joined out of any sort of malicious intent. And honestly, once I got in there, they were surprisingly friendly. But when you actually focus again on what they're doing, on what, everything that was going on behind the scenes.
You
Yeah,
realized they were
she'll-
using you.
She'll, bobble, nod a little bit and say, essentially, yeah. I mean, as friendly as they might have been, you can only ignore what's actually happening and for so long. So I kind of just left without saying anything. And I swear I haven't been up to anything since then. I've been clean. I've been good.
Can I do an intuition check?
Well, Noir, you have an 18 because
Oh, mind reader. Body language.
now, even though I said so, like I said, your psychic abilities don't work here, but with a 19, I'm gonna say that something. Your psychic abilities combined with the dream world. So by her desire to try to get some truth out of this, you'll manifest this memory that actually happened to you in the past.
Okay.
And Noir and Tiffany, because they're in this dream state, can witness but not interfere with this memory in any way. So they are third party voyeurs, I guess.
Cutscene!
So cutscene.
Press A to
You
see.
unlocked one.
So Cassie, this is taking place when you're still living at home with your mom, and you just came back from being out somewhere, and you find you come into the kitchen, and your mom she kind of is leaning up against the counter, and she's looking down, and she has this very, I guess, defeated, sort of sorrowed look on her face. And, when you come into the kitchen, she just looks up and she just looks at you and doesn't say anything at first. Unless you well, first of all, do you say anything when she looks up at you?
It would have
Seeing her
been
in
one of
this
those things.
state.
Walking into the house, she'd call hey mom, I'm home and everything, and just walk into the kitchen and just start heading toward the fridge for a snack or something. So she'd glance toward her mom and catch the glance, open the fridge, look back again, and pause for a second, and then are you all right?
She has it looks like some sort of a piece of clothing next to her, and she picks it up, and it's a black top with a R on it.
How
It's a
inconspicuous.
black top with the R on it. Yes. And she picks it up and she says, "What is this?"
So, seeing that, she will tense up, involuntarily, just still kind of frozen in front of the fridge, and ask, "Where'd you get that?"
She says, "I was doing some laundry, and I guess I ran into it. Not that it matters."
Cassie, she opened her mouth to like say something, but then just decided against it and closed it again. So at this point, she's waiting.
So what is this?
Well,
Tell me this is some kind of a joke. Halloween
It's-
costume, maybe?
she grinds her jaw a little bit and says, "It's not what you think. I can say that much."
Well, then tell me what it is then.
So she'll sigh and close the fridge and say, "Look, Mom, we weren't making enough money as it was, you know? I mean, with the both of us working as long as we could, we still... I mean, you were struggling. You know you were struggling."
She says, Cassandra, I asked you a question. What is this?
You know what it is. Is that really important right now?
Yes, it's important. This is very important.
All right. It's a Team Rocket uniform.
She backs up again, almost as if she's not even believing what she's hearing, and almost like she feels like she's in a dream herself. And like she doesn't say anything for a moment, but then she looks at you again and she says, I thought you were better than this.
Her heart would drop hearing that. Like, no, I swear I've never hurt anyone. I've just done some little jobs here and there, you know. It's just to make a little extra money, you know, just for us.
Little extra money. Cassie, I know that things have been really tough, and I understand this is not the way to do it. These people out there, they are terrorists. Don't you understand? Getting yourself mixed up with them. I don't even know who you are anymore. You've been going out at god awful times, and at first I didn't say anything, but your father and I didn't raise you this way.
Yeah, so how did you raise me then? Huh? What did you raise me to do? Just stock shelves my entire life?
So this is my fault, she says. This is my fault then. Okay, fine. Maybe we haven't had the money rolling in. Maybe I haven't been doing a good enough job to provide, but I've been trying really, really hard to make an honest living, to keep this family afloat. This is an insult to everything that I've worked really hard for to keep our family intact.
It was just a temporary thing, you know. It wasn't meant to last forever. I'm not like going to move up the ranks or anything. It was just while we needed it, you know, so we can build up again and get a better start on things.
Listen, are you actually justifying this?
Well, what else am I supposed to do?
How long have you been doing this for?
So, you know, she'd sigh and just kind of, you know, pinch between her nose a little bit and say, well, as long as, you know, I started going out at the ungodly hours you mentioned.
Cassandra Pine, how long exactly have you been doing this?
I don't know, like a year, maybe. Like tops.
Yes, she kind of falls back. This is going to end up on your permanent record. This is going to affect your entire future.
They're not that bad.
What would your father think if he were to see you now?
It's too bad he's not here to see me, huh?
That comment out of character looked like it hurt your mom really badly, and her face sort of breaks for a moment, and it looks like she's about to say something, but then she stops, and it looks like she's trying to fight back some tears. They don't actually come out. She's fighting, and then she just walks away. She like leaves the room. Do you follow her or do you not follow her, I guess is my next question.
Yeah, she'll wait a few seconds and just kind of, as it all hits her, and she'll, start to follow. And just, look, Mom, I'm sorry. Okay?
She said she doesn't look at you. She sort of is leaned up against a table in the living room, and she just says softly, "That's not fair."
Well, she'll again grind her jaw. Her gaze drops a little bit as she thinks and shakes her head and says, "A lot of things aren't fair lately, but I didn't mean that."
The loss of your father has been extremely tough for all of us. I know it's been tough for you. It's been tough for me as well. I'm trying, Cassie, okay? I am trying very hard. And I can't have you running around with Team Rocket on top of that. Don't you understand? This is making things even harder for me. Not helping. It's making it harder for me.
So what? Should I just quit? Would that make it all better?
For starters, yes. That's a start.
Okay, fine. I'll quit. Consider it done. We're good now then, right?
No, that's not enough. I just don't understand what led you specifically to Team Rocket when you could have done other jobs, anything else, but join a terrorist group?
Okay, not everything they do is about terrorism, And what other jobs are available, nearby? What could I actually do? Like I don't have skills.
What if something happened to you? What if you died?
Nothing happened to me.
Yet. You think that sure, you want to quit. You think that they're just going to let you?
Okay, well what else would you have me do? I can't go back and change it.
I don't know.
So again, yeah, she'll sigh and just, all right, the best that I can do is I'll quit. I'll quit, put all that behind me, and we're done. We'll never hear about that again. Right?
Fine.
Okay, then that's that. So I'll quit. I'll try to find another job, and with that, and the Pokemart, I don't know. You say we can make it work, so we'll make it work.
She's by the fireplace at this point, and there's a photo of her, your dad, and yourself, maybe when you're around 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And like she picks up the picture frame, and she likes looking at the photo, and she says, "One way or another, we'll make it work." And we'll say that the memory fades away.
Are you okay?
So, a little clearly shaken, not only by the experience, but by sudden jolt back and forth. Cassie will take a bit of a deep breath and slowly let it out before starting to nod, like, I'm fine.
You deserve that.
So now that it's been confirmed that they apparently both saw it too, because she was wondering, but not.
Yeah.
She didn't want to have to ask. She'll nod again, and she looks away, and shrugs a bit, says, "I don't know. I mean, maybe I kind of did.
you're in a tough situation. You tried your best. You might have been the best choice, but
Yeah, hindsight's 2020. You moved past it, or
Yeah.
you're trying to. That says something.
So she nods, seems to at least appreciate all that. Then she'll, look back to you two again and say, does this help at all then? I mean, relieve any concerns you might have had?
you had a pretty good reason. I understand it. Sorry for prying.
I mean, I know it was stupid. It was just at the time, like it was stupid, but she'll just kind of leave it at that.
We all do stupid things as kids. It's part of growing up.
You could have ended worse.
Yeah, a lot worse.
She'll scoff a little bit and
At least you weren't actively trying to climb the ranks, as you said.
oh, God, no. No, I mean, they were surprisingly friendly within the group, but
Now the easier to
the
manipulate.
things they
isn't
did,
it?
no.
Yeah. People just jerks like that. They lure people in with false promises and stab them in the back.
Yeah, after a while, you start to notice that they really are just doing that to keep you around, just keep you in line.
And if that doesn't work, well, they probably could have turned to more extreme measures to keep you with them.
Or at least exact some sort of vengeance for leaving, like a bomb.
Maybe, but we still don't know if that's...
That's why you sort of behind it.
Well, I mean, not just that, but even if I had no connection, it is Team Rocket. We all agree that they've done some pretty heinous things in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of crimes, Tiffany,
Yes.
apparently your brother's behind the museum theft.
I don't believe that
Um,
for 5 seconds, but
Has he done anything like that before?
no, never. He's one of the most straight-laced, honorable people you're ever going to meet.
Well, I mean, money troubles maybe? It can, make people do stupid things.
I don't think so. Or at the very least, I've never heard anything about it. But again, we have our masks we all wear, don't we?
Well, there is a case of identity theft going on around, considering my situation.
Eyebrow
Wouldn't
quirks
be
up at
surprised if
this.
there's more.
And by the way,
Well-
Noir, if it means anything, for right now, I don't think you were behind it. I just don't know what else could be happening.
Thanks.
But considering everything that's going on right now, I'm willing to keep an open mind.
Yeah, I think open minds, we're all going to need to get out of here.
Yeah. So, I'm supposing you probably want to know why I lied about my psychic rank, right?
You wanted to be Noir and not the telepath? If I can hazard a guess.
I'll admit I'm
Well-
curious, but first I want to make this clear. I would very much appreciate it if you stayed out of my head. All right?
Okay.
I assume you have basic manners and you weren't in
Oh,
our head in
hold
the
that in
first
mind.
place.
Keep that in mind. I get it.
Wait, were you ever in our heads?
Well, I didn't investigate Cassie's mind because me a roommate, but if I don't trust someone or see them as a threat,
No, I figure if you've been in my mind, you would have known about all this already.
So,
Okay.
I suppose you guys know about psychic. I don't know how much you guys know about psychic ranks, but rank 4, which is probably what I am if I'm not rank 5, is one where they start monitoring you. I had that since I was a kid, quite young. Always being monitored. They said I was psychic even before I was born. Yeah. Unfortunately, the monitor I had, he was a doctor, but yeah, he wasn't a very good person. And I just don't trust the system that allows people like that to be in charge of people. So I'd rather not to be in it. And there's other reasons why I don't want to be monitored. It's to protect my family and myself.
Yeah.
All right.
What about Fabian?
He's not psychic, so and
Not at all?
I need to make sure I protected him. No, he never showed any inklings towards psychic talents. Took them every year, a long time ago, but yeah, but never an inkling.
So Cassie will nod and say, "Well, I'm sorry about your past too. Then maybe we all got a bit of a, short stick."
Yeah, I suppose you can say that.
It's relatively common knowledge, at least what each of the colors mean. At least at minimum, people know that. I think one of the more possibly dangerous psychics start at the level 4 level, which is orange. I'm sorry, green. Excuse me. The 4 level, which is the level green, because that's when you're actually starting to get the ability to kind of read people's thoughts or kind of persuade them. So that's when things get a little bit shady. Mm-hmm. So I think even the least educated people know that green and above is just be careful. Whereas yellow and below is like, okay, all they can do really is just like maybe move some objects with their mind, but not like a dump truck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
were there 6 or 7 ranks?
7.
There are 7. One for every color of the rainbow, including indigo.
Lastly, with this, any sort of recent goings on within the psychic community, whether there be riots or,
Yes.
peace proposals or things like that.
I would say that she knows that the psychic community has had their fair share of both peaceful and violent rallies. There are extremists.
I mean, like you'd expect, multiple different sects within the psychic community.
Multiple different sects. The best one now here in Saffron City, the best known activist is Sabrina, who is also the gym leader of Saffron City, because Sabrina is a psychic. She is, I would say she's relatively moderate in terms of her, because she is a major pusher for psychic rights. Mm-hmm. I don't think she's ever done led any marches that have become violent, but I probably would say that some of the people who participated in the marches may have ended up doing some vandalism, but she doesn't condone it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so she's not violent, doesn't condone the violence, but she definitely has a strong opinion and pushes for it. She's active in the community.
Yeah, she's very active. She's very moderate, and I think of all of the activists, she is the one that is best known. There have been some more extreme. You will see every now and then on TV some extreme activists who have ended up being incarcerated for it.
Okay.
Because some of the things that they have been doing, actually one attempt in recent history was actually an attempt by several of psychics who actually were trying to brainwash political figures
Mm.
into passing a law, because they thought, well, if they're not going to do it, then we're just going to make them do it. And they ended up being jailed for that. That's not unusual, unfortunately.
Okay.
That is why they ended up developing that serum that you inject in order to
PBJ.
basically,
Yeah.
yes, PB&J. They created the PB&J, and you know that the law enforcement have started to do some research on having that actually be shot like a dart, like projectiles, like
Well,
a
that
dart,
makes
so
sense.
that
Just like a tranquilizer or whatever. Yeah.
like tranquilizer dart. And of course, there's a lot of debates and controversy over how humane that is. A lot of political mess over that.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I mean, after some thinking, well, she'll look again tomorrow and say, "So, who else knows about this? Your rank and
I
everything."
think my Fabian knows, but he can't really communicate to anyone, and I think Remy knows.
And that's it.
They're the only people.
Right. And no one is still able to track you. No one's monitoring you right now.
No, I made sure I wouldn't be monitored to falsify my documents.
So,
Which I would go to jail and I would lose my brother and everything. If any of
you absolutely
talk
would.
about
Yes.
this. So, what do I need to do to get you guys not to talk about this?
Just
Nothing.
ask.
Really?
No, I mean, hey,
What about you, Tiffany?
I like having a free room, so this works for me.
Mind control.
She's already indoctrinating us
Yes.
in character.
What do I have to do?
What do I have to do to convince you to not say anything? To convince me of what? To convince me of what, Noir?
So what ended up happening with the doctor then, if that's okay to ask?
Yeah.
She kind of like puts her hands across her chest and crosses them and looks down. Well, it's a long story, but short version is he wasn't really there to properly monitor people. He was there looking for psychics for his research, and he wanted to use them to do what he wanted. And she kind of like tears up a little bit. It's very young. He was just a very bad person.
It looks a little bit like Cassie has more questions, but seeing Noir tear up, she just kind of holds it back and just nods instead. And says, well, you know, I'm glad you're out of all that mess then. So let's move on. She'll
I
look at-
haven't been traumatized yet today. What do
she'll
you
look
think
at
the big
Tiffany.
crystal means?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
what's your big dark secret?
We'll say that at this point, Chase and Molly have finished their conversation.
Yeah.
And if they wish
Which
to
one?
rejoin the group, they may.
Yes, Team Sandy,
wish.
come play.
Yeah,
Chase.
Molly's gonna brush the sand off of her hands, and she's gonna walk out of the door and join everyone else.
All right,
Chase
so
does the same with the sweatshirt on.
seeing the
Yep.
two come out, Cassie will like smirk a little ironically and say, "Hey, you're just in time for the AA meeting. Come on."
Yay! You all
I was
right?
going to quickly wipe off the tears.
We had a weird
Welcome
occurrence
back.
while you were away. Apparently, we can trigger visions.
Yeah, who knew?
Molly says, "Oh, visions. That sounds great. Can we get out of here?"
I also want to get out of here.
That's what we're trying to do. But if Cresselia was the one who got us in here in the first place, she's got to want something from us.
She revolves doors, apparently.
Yeah.
Have we tried to figure out what those other doors mean?
Well, that's my best bet right now. I mean, they clearly, in most cases at least, she says as she glances at everyone, means something in some way to each of us. Because we could only open our own doors, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And some of them don't make sense to some people.
Mine makes sense to me.
Mine doesn't make sense to me.
Not
And
mine.
yours was the prism
Yeah, the prism and the wall.
and the wall. Did anything happen behind the wall in your past?
Not that I can think of.
Are you by chance claustrophobic?
Do you put up walls? Not like physical ones, but like
Are you a carpenter?
ones.
I'm a beautician. I do
Stonemason.
hair and nails.
Do you have history with wild
Is
Pokemon?
there more than that?
I mostly work domestics.
Okay.
Do you have a ranger in your past?
None that I know of.
Ella, you feel like you guys have been doing, by opening yourselves up to each other, just like you were locked doors and now you're opening your locked doors to each other, you believe that you have started to move towards leaving this place. It's just not all of you have opened your door yet.
Cresselia's a little romantic, isn't she?
Yes. I think most of you have,
Okay.
but I don't think all of you have completely opened their door yet.
Well, Nor's going to go, well, I think it's about opening our doors to each other. Not like physically, but like opening up to each other.
So we're doing the right thing.
It's my
Right.
guess. It's my gut instinct. Yeah, chatting about our secrets is good.
All right. Cassie will look then to Chase and Molly, who joined late, and say, just to catch you up really quick then, I was a part of Team Rocket. We were short on money. I'm cool now. I left them. And these two are cool with it, so...
Yes. Throw his arm around Cassandra's shoulder.
she looks like she was caught a little off guard with that, but smiles at Tiffany anyway before looking back to the two.
Molly will look at Chase, and then she'll look back at the group, and she'll just shrug and say, "It's all in the past, right?"
Yeah, but this place wants us to dig up the past from the looks of it.
Yeah.
To everybody?
Well,
Yeah. Oh. Since you two are here, I want to know, will you report me to the psychic registration people about my psychic gifts
No.
being... Thank you.
Molly will say no.
Okay, I'm not going to jail. Sweet.
Where are you?
There's a condition, though.
Uh-huh.
The condition is that you end up having to use these powers for us.
Oh,
No.
Cassie bites back a little at that.
I'm not... I will use my powers when I choose to, not when other people tell me to do.
It'll be your choice, but it'll be for us.
How about for the good? Does that sound better?
Much better.
Yeah. I've met people before who said, you need to do this for me, use your psychic gifts. It does not end well.
And we'll
Just
protect
saying.
you from those people.
Chase is like the
As
mafia
long
right
as you don't
now.
tell them.
Protection.
Let me tell you how this works. We need Chase to have Remy and just kind of. Let me tell you how this works.
Jeez. I mean, I came late to the conversation, so I would presume that it was discussed why you're hiding the fact that you're a mind reader from people. I can make the assumption that you're hiding because you don't want to be monitored because you're hiding something from your past, which is why we're here and we're opening up to each other.
Cassie can't help but look a little impressed.
So if there's someone that you're afraid of, I think we all have people that we're probably afraid of. And I don't think these are people that we can face alone.
We don't have to face them. They could just be gone forever, and you don't have to worry about them. They can just be over there. You can go here.
No, sweetie. No,
Don't do all
that's not how that works usually. No.
See, you can either be chased by your past or you can chase your past. You can decide whether you're in control or not.
Look, Chase, it's a really pretty sentiment, but it's a little bit of a fallacy there. I mean, first, there are many more options than that, and second, she glances at Tiffany at this too. As much as we might like to officially take care of things, some things we just can't handle, alone or with our ragtag whatever we have here. I mean, this is a guy in a powerful position that we're talking about, with a government agency who would almost surely back him up instead of Noir.
Yeah.
He's still just a person.
And he's kind of like, I can't go over there where he is. Like, it's impossible. So it's
impossible.
Why is it impossible?
So that's fine.
Why is it impossible?
Impossible is only something you haven't tried.
Oh, this guy's
I made sure it's pretty impossible. It's pretty hard.
Well, I mean, if he's using other psychics, I'm sorry, this comes across a little blunt. You weren't the first one he used like this, yes?
I don't know.
So this man is using psychics?
Yeah, I don't like that.
Is that the part I missed? You're being experimented on?
I know he. She kind of like looks away and goes, Might get half here if I share this.
I'll take that as a yes.
Go, Fabian.
Yeah, as she looks away, Cassie looks at Jason. It's not.
And so here's what's confusing me about this whole picture. I look at us all, and maybe we haven't shared everything, but maybe we're on the path to share everything. But there's one person here I can't seem to figure out more than everybody else, and it's because I feel like I figured her out more than everyone else, and that's Tiffany. I don't see anything wrong with you, Tiffany.
Oh, yay. Thank
And
you.
I don't think you'd be here if there was nothing wrong with you.
Yeah, exactly. Outside of some idiocy in my teenage years, I could think of in the present adult years that should hinder me or make me be here.
How big is this idiocy?
Mm-hmm.
Shoplifting, stole my dad's car once, general infighting with my family.
As
At the
Tiffany
sound
as Tiffany is saying all that, there is one final door that's opening that starts to manifest. It's semi-transparent, starts to manifest in the center of the room, but it hasn't fully manifested yet.
Chase looks at the door, looks back at Tiffany. Go on.
Lives could be at stake.
I'm trying to think of anything
I don't know.
more.
Molly will kind of raise her hand. She'll say, "Can I try something?"
Okay.
She looks at the door that's materializing in the center of the room, and then she looks back at everyone else and she says, "Hey, guess what? I was in prison."
The door manifests itself even more. It starts getting a little bit more solid.
When I was 9, I bit a child so hard it broke skin, drew blood, went down to the bone almost.
Holy shit.
To be fair, she had a good handful of my hair and another hand over my mouth, and I couldn't breathe, and I was panicked.
All right.
Also, children beauty pageants are evil. That's where this
Mom
happened.
says-
Okay. I also
Molly
had a
says,
bad mother.
And
Oh, no, Emerald was wonderful. Her thought was, oh, you can make friends, since you apparently have trouble making them.
As you mentioned Emerald, like, you know, a memory flashes in your head. You remember Emerald, therefore you remember your mom, therefore you remember Constant, therefore you remember Jefferson, and when you and Jefferson kind of split. That's the last memory making that train of thought ended up there for some reason.
And I screwed up a really important friendship to me. And I haven't been able to fix it.
Perfect. Tell us everything.
Who was he?
Childhood best friends
Did you
are...
date him?
What
No.
was his name?
Okay, how about let me answer one question before the next. His name's Jefferson. We were childhood friends. Our moms did pageants, so we always saw each other on the weekends.